Hi everybody, this is Mr. Tom's recording this for the fourth time, so hopefully I can get it right this time because the microphone has been giving me some problems. So let's start. First, this video is for the assignment that's called Dialogue, Descriptive Language, and Starting Introductions. Now, do not start this assignment until you have already completed the Choosing and Planning Your Memoirs Parts 1 and 2, where you fill out these bullet points based off of your people, places, and things that were involved in the memorable moment that you've chosen to write about for this memoir for this and next week. Once you've completed that, you hopefully have read through my example, and then you will complete all 10 of these boxes. Now, I just want to remind you that I've had some students that have just these are going to be your 5 paragraphs. These 5 boxes are going to be paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, I've had some students that did 2 situations before, some that did 2 situations after, and one that mentioned the memorable moment. And then here, the purpose. Why is this memory important? Why is this part of the memory important? Okay, so we've moved on to that. Now, there's a whole bunch of documents and videos on this assignment, Dialogue, Descriptive Language, and Starting Introductions. So hopefully you're watching this video first. And I want you to just pause this video right here and read through what I have highlighted. So go ahead and pause and read your screen. All right, I've assumed that you have now come back to this video after reading that. And I'm going to go ahead and open up these documents right now. So the first document, Dialogue Example for Narrative. You're going to include dialogue in your memoir. Now, dialogue is when 2 or more people or characters are having a conversation. Now, dialogue is really helpful in that it doesn't just tell the reader, me, what's happening, but it shows me through descriptive language. And that's kind of the key to this. That's why, in fact, this is called descriptive language. So, in the memoirs, you'll begin writing this and next week. One of the biggest jobs facing you is to tell your story by showing me what happened, not just telling me. How can we show you when we're writing? Are we supposed to draw pictures? No, you're not drawing pictures. Let me show you what I mean. For example, I don't want to see this in your story. Me and my friend finally decided to go play in the backyard. He stepped in dog poop. It was gross. I mean, it's grammatically correct. It tells me what happened, but it doesn't show me. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to read everything that you see in purple right here. And go ahead and pause. And then you're going to unpause and you're going to scroll to the bottom of this. Or I'm going to scroll to the bottom of this and you're going to read more. So go ahead and pause and read everything in purple right now.
Are you in trouble?
All right, if you're unpausing, I assume you've read everything in purple, and then I'm going to scroll down and go ahead and read the rest. All right, so now you've kind of seen. So just to be clear, everything you just read in purple, that shows me what's happening, and it tells me what's happening. It's a lot more fun to read than the first example. So what did I do? I used figurative language, dialogue, and sensory details to show you, not just tell you, and make you feel like you were there. Now, I just want to remind you that sensory details, that's going to have to deal with what you heard during your memory, what you saw, what you smelled, what you tasted, and what you touched. And you might not remember all of these things. You might just remember 1 or 2. But use as much sensory details as you can because it helps the reader really be in that moment with you. So I use dialogue to show you that we decided to go outside. Right? This is my dialogue right here. I use sensory details to show you how Joe sounded, what the poop smelled like, what the sun and grass looked like, how the grass sounded. And if you don't remember these exactly, it's okay if you just kind of use language to kind of make it up so that it makes sense. That's fine. And then I use figurative language to help paint the picture. I use the simile, which remember is a comparison using like or as, to compare the smells attack on my nose to a boxer hitting a punching bag. I use personification when you attribute human characteristics to non-human things to show you that the smell entered my nose unbidden. And I use onomatopoeia, clash, bang, smash, wow, to show the sound the grass made when we walked through it. All these things helped you paint a mental picture of the scene. I showed you what happened. You'll do the same in your writing. All right, so the next assignment, or the next document that's on here is the Memoir Draft Checklist. So I want you to clear out all your tabs. I'm going to have you pause and clear out your tabs. If you have more than 4 or 5 tabs open, X them out. You don't need them, and you should really be using your Chromebook as a tool that is meant to be used as, which means that you're not necessarily having all these tabs open so you're jumping around from one tab to the other. You should, in ELA class, only have the tabs you need for ELA open, which would be Google Classroom, and this checklist should be open anytime you come into ELA over the next week and a half. Checklist will help you be successful. Now, this checklist is to help guide you in your memoir. You have an introductory paragraph, and I've copied and pasted this all into your introductory paragraph document. Oops, let me just undo that. There we go. Control Z. So your introductory paragraph should have a hook. Now I'm going to read 130 of these, so don't bore me right from the start. A hook hooks your reader in, right? So maybe start with a question or something really funny, or maybe a piece of dialogue that was interesting. Maybe it was an action moment. Whatever it might be, draw me in initially from that first sentence. And then in your introductory paragraph, you'll tell me who was there, what happened before the memory. Remember, that first paragraph is this box right here, a situation before the event. When it happened and where it happened, as best as you can recall. And if it happened in many different places, mention that. And then I'm going to have you just kind of read through my example right now. So go ahead and pause and read this. All right, you've likely read my example by now, and you have an idea of how this checklist will be used. Now, the checklist is already in your document. This is what your document looks like. What I encourage you to do is, once you've included a hook, make it red, so you know, all right, I'm done. Once you've included who was involved, make it red. It's an easy way for you to know, like, all right, I've done that. Now I've covered everything I need to cover. All right, third document is called the narrative writing rubric. Hopefully you're already familiar with the language of a rubric. A rubric is how we as teachers objectively grade. Now, objective is a word you should know here. I don't use my opinion. I don't use what I like or what I think sounds good to grade. I use this rubric so that it's the same for every student, whether the student it's the same for anybody, whether you're in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. This is how you're going to be graded, is objectively, without our opinion. We don't want to grade based off of what we think we like. We want to grade based off of these facts. So how is this rubric organized? It says above expectations. That would mean if you get all of those, you have an A+ paper. Meets expectations. This is about a B- average if you hit all those boxes. If it's below expectations, you'll likely have to redo it if everything is below your expectations. So an A+ paper will have a clear, memorable moment. Now, you might think this is common sense, but I have a lot of students who, after reading their whole memoir, I don't know what the moment was. Make it clear. The second one is, you have to tell me what you learned or realized from this moment. Everyone learns something from every moment of their lives. You just have to think critically about it. So what did you learn from this? What did you gain from this? How did you change? How did you evolve? What did you realize? You'll tell me, remember, like these boxes right here, the before, during, and after. You'll tell me what happens before your moment, during the moment, and after the moment throughout your 5 paragraphs. Your style and voice you use, as discussed already. Literary devices, figurative language, similes, metaphors, personification, onomatopoeia, sensory details, those 5 senses, right? And then dialogue. You should use all 3 of those to get an A+ paper. And then finally, a solid grasp of standard writing conventions. What I mean by that is, it's 12-point font, it's double-spaced, everything's spelled correctly, commas and periods are used. Effectively, you have reread it, you've proofreaded it, you've edited it, you've had someone else take a look at it, and that you have everything indented and everything is correct. I encourage you to use Grammarly as a tool. All right. On through these 3 documents. Now, you won't see this document because that's actually going to be up in your right hand corner, and that's the document that I've created for you. It'll look like this. Once you finish this video, you'll start writing your introductory paragraph. You'll write your name, your date, your ELA hour, your advisory teacher. Now, it's okay if you don't come up with a title right away. You can come up with a title at the end. That's fine. But this is a document where you'll start drafting your memoir. But don't start that quite yet. The last thing I want you to do is review these 2 videos on figurative language. Now, you've all learned about figurative language over the years. You've learned about similes and hyperbole and onomatopoeia and metaphors and maybe even idioms. Now, figurative language, just to be clear, is different from literal language. So let me show you some examples. So you see some examples here on the right. So, for example, if I was to say, oh man, that test was a piece of cake, the test wasn't literally cake. It wasn't something that you have for birthdays. No, it means the test was it was easily done. If I said, oh man, Veronica really spilled the beans and told my crush I liked her, that doesn't mean that Veronica took a can of beans and spilled them all over the place. No, it means that Veronica revealed a secret, right? This is figurative language. It's or a figure of speech. It's another way of communicating a message, but without saying it literally. It makes it interesting on the reader. So these two videos are just refreshers on figurative language and how it's used and how it sounds. You don't need to watch both of them. You don't need to watch all 9 minutes, 2 plus 7 here, of the videos. You can watch whatever you would like during class today, or if you're online, you can watch them at home. So, to summarize, right, we've got the dialogue example. Make sure you read through that. The checklist, leave that open. You've got the rubric. Make sure you know exactly what the expectations are. You've got these 2 videos. Watch those. And then you got your memoir introduction. This is where, now that you're done with the video and you've watched the figurative language videos, then you'll start on this. If you're in class and you finish writing your introductory paragraph, you know you've gotten everything on this checklist checked off, raise your hand in class and I'll come by. Nothing is due in class tomorrow on Friday. This is kind of a work at your own pace, but the full first draft of your memoir will be due at the start of class on Wednesday next week. All right. Thank you for listening. Please send me an email if you have any questions, or ask me in class if you are in person. I wish you the best of luck, and Godspeed.